Welcome everybody to the Nitty Gritty. Excited to be here with author, speaker, celebrity, David Butler. Fresh off of teaching, he came here to hang out with us, but he had to do a wardrobe change, right?
Yes.
Because we can't be hanging out in a shirt and tie too much.
Oh, I seriously hate church clothes. I like
how he calls them church clothes.
Yeah. As a kid, I would wear my regular clothes under my church clothes when we go to church.
Oh, yeah.
And then right when it was over, I was like...
So I grew up across the street, and we had competitions with my brother on who could have the most clothing items off before you got out of the parking lot. So yeah, you'd have shirt and even shorts underneath. So your ties off, shirts off, pants. Like you're trying to like hold all of your clothes in your hand as you walk in the front door of the house. So I get it. I definitely.
Did you guys not like get Nintendo or something back then? Like you had to come up with these other games.
It was just way more fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
So, well, thank you for coming in. I'm excited to chat a little bit and learn
a
little bit more about you and.
I am also.
Talk about some fun stuff.
Liar. Prove
Liar.
it. Prove it.
Andrew's like, I'm excited to talk to you. I'm like, well, we are excited. We're a team.
We are.
Jeez, Andrew.
You and I.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. I'll be over here.
Before we get going. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up around here?
No. I grew up in Houston, right outside of Houston.
Okay.
Sugar Land.
Gotcha.
The name of my place.
What brought you here?
School. I came up, I went to BYU.
Okay.
I was a freshman. And so came up for that and then just kind of stayed.
Yeah.
Ever since.
Did you get married while you were at school?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Well, he went to BYU.
I guess
that's like junior year, right? It has to be done.
Yeah. It was in the requirements. It's
right.
It's one of your
3
credit
Yeah,
classes.
3 credits. We were on the same page there.
Yeah. Jenny and I, we both served missions in Korea.
Oh,
so
really?
Same mission.
So that's where you guys met on the mission.
Yes.
Got it.
She tried to kiss me. I was like, Jenny, you got to wait. You got to wait.
I said not to do the zone meetings ever again.
So she wanted to set me up with her younger sister when we got home. She was just like, I really want you in our family. Will you marry my little sister?
So she tried to kiss you and then pawn you off.
That part's
your
not
little
true,
sister.
everybody. Sorry, Jenny, if you listen to this.
This was sounding juicy.
Listen, I said it one time in a fireside, and the stake president leaned over and he was like, is that part true? And then I was like, no, I was just kidding. And then he gets up at the end and corrects that for everybody.
Clarifies.
Yes.
That's funny. That's really funny. So how much younger was her sister than you?
Like 2 years.
Did you go out with her when you got home?
No, I met her, and then I actually went over to their house one time just unannounced to just say like, hey, do you just want to go? We're all just hanging out if you want to come. And she wasn't there. She had gone for the summer to be a river raft guide.
Okay.
And Jenny was there. And so I was like, well, do you want to come?
I mean, I guess you're the backup plan, but you can come if you want.
So anyway,
is your river rafter guide sister here?
Yeah.
No? Okay, you can come.
So anyways, so then she came, and then that night I was like, whoa. I went home and I told my roommate, I was like, I think I like this girl from my mission. Is that weird? And he's like, dude, go for it. I dated a girl from mine. Like, totally go for it.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, then I will.
That's how it started.
Yeah. Which is sort of unfortunate. I wish I'd gone out with Jesse, because that would just make family reunions and stuff so much better.
Like the one I passed over.
It was just
Remember when I dumped you? Hey, we passed potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it. There's so many, raise your hand if you've kissed multiple women in this family. I would win that game every time. So, didn't happen. All my fun is ruined.
That's so funny. So what were you studying at BYU?
Everything. I switched on the weekly until my counselor at BYU was like, listen, man, no one works in what they graduated in. So could you please just figure out, just graduate, pick one. Because I would just be like, I know, but I'm super interested in world history right now. And then he was just like, okay. And it was like, I think I want to do broadcast journalism. And then I'm like,
that's what college is supposed to be for.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
right?
Why don't you
pay
have
$40,000 to figure out the next part of your life?
Yeah. Anyways, I actually proposed. I was like, why do you not have a patchwork degree, where you're just be a dentist for one
Right.
semester
Just
and
a general
just everything that you want to try. And so,
I agree. We should just call that ADHD.
yeah.
Like the
Yes.
ADHD degree. It's just multifaceted, covers everything.
Or just
It's just a general diploma.
Or just
a
like the
degree.
real world. That's
Right.
what the real world is.
Right.
Like
So
a little bit of everything.
Isn't that what communications is?
that's
That
where
degree.
that's where I ended up.
Are you serious? I heard there's like the school of the athlete. If the school, the crooked schools that have that, like coloring and basket weaving. But then there's communications. Like,
That's the catch-all.
that's where all the BYU football players are right now. They're in the communications program.
Yeah, me and them.
No offense.
No. It was good, and they have 3 like emphasizes in there, and it's like I'm a writer. Everybody,
I need to look that up. Actually,
I think it's emphases.
emphasis plural.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's emphases.
What is it, Cam?
Anyway, speaking of this word, this reminded me of like I was just talking to my nephew today, and I said rhinoceros, and he was like, "Wait, that's not the name of the animal." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure it's a rhinoceros," and he was like, "It's a rhino." And I was like, he's like, "You're making it a dinosaur right now." And I was like, so like right before we came, I had to look up and check and make sure like it's actually called because I was like, oh my gosh, I think I am. It's like a Rhinoceros Rex or something is what I'm doing. Like, I was like, is that not
Rhinoceros.
Is that not the real thing? Anyways, just to clarify, it's a rhinoceros.
Yeah, and
It's
you
real.
were right. It's emphases.
I was right.
Emphases.
Oh, okay. I wonder what the plural of rhinoceros is.
Yeah, rhinoceri.
Rhinoceros.
It's like meese,
the
moose,
dinosaur.
meese. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So then
Rhinoceros.
you graduate school.
Yeah.
What did you get into? Did you go into journalism?
No.
Or communication?
Okay, I was journalism for a little bit, and then I thought, I didn't actually want to do the journalism part. I just wanted to be on TV. So then when I found out
I love the honesty. This is great.
Interview people and like get real news stories. And I was like, I can't. I don't want to do that. I can't do that. So then I switched to public relations, which felt way more general. Like I feel like I was like,
Was that easier than communications?
it was in it. It was in communication.
okay.
So it was like the general
Gotcha.
in the general.
Right.
That's
smart.
So anyways, I did that, and then I was doing an internship with that, and I kind of thought, I think like what you're supposed to do is just like find a company somewhere and then work your way up to the top. It's sort of like what I thought you were supposed to do.
Sure.
And then I, like my senior year or junior year, I can't remember, anywhere in there, I take this class that's like set for seminary teachers that teach full time,
Okay.
like as a job. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know that's what the class was either. It was called,
Wow.
It was called Teaching the Gospel. And my friend was taking it, and he was like, because he and I went to lunch to start a dental lab.
Okay. We might need to talk more about ADHD on this episode.
And have like, can anyone consult me through this right
I
now?
can help.
Thank you. Because it is, listen, my doctor says I'm managing it well. So like, I just want
Obviously.
everyone to know.
Obviously.
Anyways, dental lab. And then I was like, dude, what religion class are you taking? Because I need one next semester. And he was like, I'm taking this one. It's called Teaching the Gospel. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I feel like that's cool. I could take that one. I want to do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you won't get in. All the spots are always full.
You won't get in.
And I was like, okay. So I went to the computer and there was a spot. And so I was like, so I added it. And, mostly just to flex on him that I
He was
got
like,
it.
Why? Why can't I get it?
Yeah.
So then I take that class and I'm like, what is going on in this class? Like, what are you talking about? And then I finally put together like what all the little church buildings were like in this state. Like I was like, every once in a while I would see a miniature church.
They're high school branches.
Yeah. And I never put together that they were right next to high schools and
is
junior
so
highs.
funny.
You really didn't know that?
No, I just was like, there's like these miniature churches everywhere. Anyway, so we had to go observe a class as part of that class.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, whoa. Y'all have like your own mini church right here. This is cool.
Is Utah the only place with seminary buildings? Probably.
Or Idaho.
Idaho probably does.
Maybe. Arizona probably has 2
Yeah.
Okay.
or something. I don't know.
Everyone else said it's like early morning at the church, right?
Right. Or someone's house or whatever.
Interesting.
So I got into that, and then they offered me a job as a part-time teacher.
Okay.
And so I started doing that my senior year.
Okay.
I went to BYU Hawaii before that because I was like, we got to get
Married?
out of- Yeah, married. Jenny's mom grew up there. And so Jenny said, you won't ever understand our family unless you live in Hawaii. And I was like, done.
That's
And so I kind of forgot about it a little bit. And then one day I got home and Jenny's like, you got in. I was like, to what? She was like, Hawaii. And I was like, what? And she was like, I applied for you.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And I got in. And so we just packed up all our stuff, put it in her brother's basement, which flooded and ruined all our stuff. So whatever.
so you came home to nothing.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Okay.
So we lived over there and came back. And then I was like, I think I should go back to that thing. Maybe I could still be a student teacher or whatever they were called. So I did. And I taught that. And then I got offered a full-time
job?
Yeah, doing that.
So
still
that's how you got into it, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Still wondering, still today wondering, what do I actually want to do? You know what I mean? But it's but I got great insurance in the meantime.
So what about teaching kind of what drew you to that?
I think probably just people. I was like, oh, you're you just have this it's conversation. It's just relationship. That's at the heart and soul of teaching. I feel is just connecting with people. And I really, really, I was telling you earlier, I hate discipline. I hate grading, rules, all those kind of things, class expectation. I'm just can we just which you kind of have to have, I guess, for sophomores. But I just, I don't know. I just
Spirit of the law.
Yeah.
Right?
I just loved, it was just fun. I felt
make
I
it
was
fun.
I was I really like all these people. I was I really like you. You're all so quirky and cool. And I just like you. And we talk Jesus together. And I really love Jesus. And I don't know.
Awesome.
I liked it. It was cool.
Growing up was had you always, and maybe you learned it from your family, openly talked about faith and Jesus and religion, was that something that was just always part of who you were?
Yeah. And I feel all my friends too, they were all, different religions. I grew up in, I think it's still the most diverse county in the United States.
Really?
Fort Bend County is. And it's so I had Hindu friends and Buddhist friends and Christian friends of every denomination. And,
okay.
And I don't know. I felt people were just pretty expressive, especially my Christian friends growing up were pretty expressive about their faith always. And it was kind of always oh yeah, me too.
So did you ever, growing up like that, was it more let's have conversations about similarities as opposed to let's have conversations about what makes us different?
It's maybe I made it sound like I had a lot more conversations about religion than I actually did.
Yeah.
I just was aware of everybody, but not a ton. But I always liked people, and I feel somebody's faith is a huge part of who a person is. So can you actually know, if somebody didn't know anything about my faith, you wouldn't know very much about me. You might know my shoe size and ice cream flavor that I like or whatever, but you don't actually know me because for me, faith is such a huge part of the way I see the world and interact with people in the world and stuff like that. And so it's I realized that later, growing up, I didn't know that.
Sure.
Okay. It's just, but I always liked talking to people and I always meeting people and hearing people's stories. And now it's just shifted to faith stories, I guess.
Was it different once you got into it as a career, when you were being paid or when there was a formal structure to it as opposed to just having these conversations?
Oh yeah. I can't, formal structures are it just makes me kind of wince a little bit, but I found a way to just do it within the,
Adderall.
Yeah. Just have a pill in the morning.
We need to just shift down to ADHD here.
Should we just go?
Seminary school. But we have another classic example here. I have ADHD, so
Same.
I tend to recognize my kind. And so,
Same. Yeah.
But see, I love it because the world needs us. Hearing how you're taking something that a lot of kids think is boring and tough to sit through, and just making it fun and exciting and less rigid, and just, man, it's so cool. And I think kids are so smart now, and they can see through all that crap.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, and I just like, and maybe people like structure and rigidity. Maybe it's like good for some people, but
70 plus.
Yeah, but not
65
yeah,
plus, maybe.
not me. Like I'm like, it makes me want to buck against it all. And I just like, I don't want, stop.
You want to go in and be excited about what you're teaching.
Yeah, let's figure out our way to do this, right?
Use inspiration, which is the point.
Right.
I mean, there has to be structure, come follow me and all that. I'm sure we'll get into that, but still, like, the class may be down one day, and it's like, let's talk about an uplifting story and break off the lesson today.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
like, you should be able to do that, especially seminary.
Yeah, and you can. You totally can.
That's awesome.
Like, no one's ever like come to me and said, you shouldn't do something like that, or some people might believe that. I don't know.
Are you teaching the New Testament again? Yeah. Listen, Jesus needs a break. Okay. Get back to the DNC. Okay, we need to learn about the rules.
Yeah, Jesus is in the DNC too. Should we go through all the scriptures, everybody?
I was talking about last week's lesson, which was just like, and this person shall be president, and the president's assistant, and the assistant.
Yeah, your
assistant.
teacher should have skipped that chapter.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, why is this in the manual? I'm joking. Sorry.
When did you, when you got into it, did you notice that maybe your style was different than other teachers?
Yeah. I've always kind of thought, square peg, round hole a little bit the whole time. Just kind of felt like I don't really feel like I fit this mold. I don't think there's supposed to be one, but they're kind of accidentally might be one or something. But I've always kind of felt a little bit, I'm not trying to be different than anybody, for different sake or anything. Maybe I got to work through that and think that's true. But
there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I think that's a gift.
Well, we're all
and
made differently for a reason.
Right. And you want to shine, like you want to be on TV, you want to be in front of people, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Especially doing it the way that you're,
I just want to be me, Right. And I was like, I'm just going to be me, but me is different than I think what most, people are in that
for sure,
in that place.
I think that's why, the things that you have done have become so popular, is because it's so refreshing to get different perspective and different persona, right? Than maybe what you're used to always growing up, or what you're used to always seeing. And so I think that there's a lot to that, I think, actually.
Well, and you don't have traditional filters. I mean, your brain is literally wired that way.
Right.
And so it's like, it's refreshing. Real is refreshing.
Yeah.
And sometimes your mouth doesn't have good breaks, right?
Nope.
I want to get into some of those stories. Like, what you said in seminary that maybe got you in trouble as a teacher?
Or my facial expressions too. Yeah. Like I was a bishop for a while in my ward here.
Gosh dang it, this guy's special.
Listen, and Jenny would after church be like, David, everyone sees your face. Everybody doesn't see your thoughts. But everyone sees your face. No, everyone
sees your thoughts.
Yeah,
They're on your face. It's funny. Ashley slaps me at church all the time. Test my man. I'm just like,
what the? I know, right? But if you're like,
just like, stop.
And I'm a vocal church person too.
Right.
I'm not super quiet.
Loud and proud.
Right. I'm just like, if someone says something from the pulpit, it's kind of a question. I'm like, okay. Or I'm like, once we had we had a general authority there in our ward. I think someone was in a relative in the ward, and he's like speaking, and he said something, and I was like, okay. And he turned back around, and he was like, what was that? And I was like, oh, just amen. I just really liked what you said. And he's like, okay, well, great. And Jenny's like, this is not a participatory experience. And I was like, for you, it might not be.
Well, speaking of marching to the beat of a different drum, I'm noticing that you're wearing a cross necklace.
Oh, yep.
Now in our religion, there's kind of this Mormon myth. So we call it a myth.
So that was one of the main things I want to talk about, was culture versus gospel doctrine versus... You know what I mean?
We're on the same wavelength. I just don't have it on my notes. See, gosh,
let's hold hands.
Nice. Well, no, it's I've stared at it the whole time, and it's funny how we have these old rules that nobody knows where they came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us about that a little bit.
Oh, I've always, I don't know, I've always really liked the cross. I don't think, probably growing up in Baptist country, like I didn't have like an aversion to it. Right. You know what I mean?
Because they're everywhere.
Yeah. When I got married, like all my mom's rich tennis friends all gave us all crystal crosses and and
all rappers have huge ones.
And so you're just kind of like, I just kind of, like it or whatever. And then I just started wearing one because I was like, I actually really, really like this symbol. Like I like it a lot. And then I started having conversations with people like, why do you wear that? Or someone will come up and be like, so what's the story with that? And I was like, oh, well, it started in Bethlehem. I don't know. You may know it's a holiday in some countries.
There's a really bright star.
But I was like, wait. And then I started to kind of learn that there's a little bit of aversion to it. And I would talk to some people and they're like, I just grew up thinking like anyone who wore one was a bad person.
That's so funny.
And I was like, what? Wait, someone who wears like if I were in like a dark alley and someone had a cross on, I'd be like, oh, thank goodness. Like I thought you were a murderer, but you're actually a Christian, And it's like, oh, good.
It's like, no, I'm a vampire hunter, actually.
Which would be great because there's probably
you'll
one
be very
me.
safe with the vampire.
Yes, exactly.
Van Helsing. Yeah. So like, I got you. Yeah. We're good.
So. But to me, like the thing is like, and then people will push back against me, and they're like, "Well, our church doesn't do that." And I want to say, I want to say this every time someone says our church, I'm like, like I'm the church, like we are the church, right. And right now our church is wearing one because like I'm part of this. Like the church isn't this like up in the clouds, like weird, I don't know, organization. It's
there's some
people.
Weirdness.
Yeah, well.
But no,
yeah, because
kidding.
It's people.
Totally right. There's some weird people.
But people say like, oh, that's not the symbol of our faith. And I was just like, okay, you can actually apply any meaning to any symbol that you want. You can endow any symbol with power. And traditionally, Latter-day Saints have endowed like the absence of the cross with symbolism. Yeah. And now they tell a story. They've written, they've come up with a story that's like, this is why we don't have one. And it's meant to be a teaching moment. It's like a symbolic, powerful moment. And I was like, okay, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you've endowed the absence of a symbol with symbolic power. But like, I like it. I've endowed this symbol with power. Like when I see it, I was like, draw me a symbol that represents Jesus. Like take a blank piece of paper and like
a steeple.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, and it's like, or when I look at it, I'm like, that is the greatest act of love in the history of the world. I look at it and I say like, God said to me, I will go to the utmost extreme to rescue you. Like that's how valuable you are to me. Like it is a symbol of like I can walk around like my day can be so bad and no one can like me, but I'm like, well, I actually have evidence of how much God likes me, and that's what I see when I see the cross, and I think it's beautiful. Like when I see it,
I really like it. I really dig that you are so open about that because it's true. It's like I've almost wondered, are we ever going to get to the point where we will see crosses on our buildings just because of the whole Christianity, we're really trying to share with the world that we are Christian.
Right.
And, when you see a cross on a building, that's a safe place. Like you don't look at a cross on a building and go...
Be afraid. And unless you're a vampire,
or
some of our people have become.
If you're watching Exorcist, maybe. Yeah. But like it is a symbol of, it's like we have CTR rings, but nobody knows what that is. Like unless you're LDS, but you can go anywhere with that in the world almost, and people are going to know that you're a Christian,
right? And I like
better than a tattoo.
Like a CTR ring is fine or whatever, but I'm kind of like I just don't want the symbol of my faith to be like this. Like choose the right. Make sure you choose the right. Like I feel really like we're coming back to
choose
rules
the right
again.
Or going to hell.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like make sure you're a good boy. Do what's right and do what's good. And I was like, I actually would like I'm a Christian. Because I feel like Jesus came to the world to save me. And I want that to be like the central aspect of my faith, right? I was like, that's what, and I actually am going to try and be a good boy because I feel like he loved me first, like because he
and not beat
rescued
myself
me.
up too much
Right.
if I mess up, because
Right.
we're supposed to.
Right.
That's really interesting.
I've never thought about that on the Choose the Right ring, but yeah, it's a super interesting perspective.
I was like, why doesn't someone just rebrand
shame,
that?
shame,
Should be
shame,
like,
shame, shame,
yeah.
shame, shame. Everything's shame. Like it. I hate it.
But I
Well,
love
it's just
it.
an old, like, it's just an old Puritan way of like,
Right.
you like the Pilgrims, Puritans were
We got
just
about
like,
10 more
we
years
don't
until
dance
that
the
generation
maypole, and
is going to be out completely, and things are going to start chilling out a little bit.
It'll be so interesting to see,
Yeah.
because even like, you were just saying you give the meaning to a symbol. I always talk about we give meaning to events in our lives too, right? So an event only has the meaning that we give it.
yeah.
A symbol only has the meaning that we give it.
Right.
Right. And who am I to say that the meaning you're giving that symbol is wrong?
Yeah.
Right. Like, we're not here to say, no, you're right or wrong.
You're a
It's,
Utah Mormon. You're allowed to do that.
but it's
You
like,
can judge others.
but it's like you've given it this meaning, and that's your meaning.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
if that helps you, then I should applaud that and support you,
Amen.
Right.
as opposed
Right.
to, trying to convince you otherwise.
Right. That it's like wrong or bad.
Yeah.
Or like,
The
And there-
individuality of the gospel is important. Like,
oh, super.
I love how
yeah.
President Uchtdorf says that all the time. Like, I'm not here for some cookie cutter. We're all the same. Like, I love how he talks. I think this applies to people like us. Like, he talks about never mistake someone's different personality for sin. Like, just because they may not act the way that you think they should act doesn't mean they're bad people.
Yeah.
I deal with that all the time. I'm sure you have too. Just, it's funny, like ADHD, just tying that in again, like the way that you're talking, people that, I don't even like to say struggle with it, people that have it, like I always try to apply it as a superpower, right?
Same.
But shame is a big deal. And it's very easy for us to like convince ourselves we're screwing up. Like, we're bad, we suck,
Yeah.
we're screwing up. So having that relationship with God the way that you do can really help balance your brain.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I teach like a world religion class at the Institute at UVU, and I keep teaching it because they're like, they'll drop it or something like that. And I'm like, no, I'll do an extra class to teach it because I think it's super important. And one of the things I've learned over the years in doing that is just this idea that if God relates to his children in an infinite number of ways, through all these different faith traditions, then I was like, then we could interact with him in infinite different ways too. Like, there's no
Right.
like set way to worship and connect, with God. And even within our own faith community, it's like people can be so different. And actually, I would prefer for people to relate. And I was reading this study. I have a really smart friend who shows me the smart things, like I just like say like what sounds good. And he's just like, actually, there's research behind that. And I'm like, oh, good. See, well,
You're a good
figured that
pair.
out. I didn't even, yeah.
You can pitch it.
Yeah, exactly.
He can give you the info. You can share it with the world.
Exactly. So there's like this research being done right now on stories, that how much people's stories are like their identity and how we relate to each other in our stories. And they're finding a lot of people who are walking away from faith are walking away because they don't see someone with their same story in their faith tradition.
Interesting.
And so they're like, I don't belong in this place because I don't see my story playing out here. And so it's like, oh, how valuable to like show like a diverse number of stories,
Get up and bear a real testimony.
Right.
Tell people how you screwed up.
Yeah, you don't have to like
Make it safe to share.
yeah. And you could be like socially normal about stuff like that. Like, obviously we don't want to, so it's like, so it was last night, y'all. And it's like, okay, pull the plug.
Three chicks walked in. I was like, oh man, I'm shook. Yeah, we don't want that.
But it's like, but even like just, I just like, you don't have to like conform in this way. We've got this saying sometimes that people say, there's like, I went to church, we went on vacation to Jamaica and
Travel.
I went to church. No, it's something a little different where it's like, and I just love that they do church exactly like we do. And every time someone says that, I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. I feel like they should do it the way Jamaicans do. Like, why are they trying to be a white American church?
Yeah.
Like, why are they trying to do it like this way? Like, they should. Like, I was in Malawi this summer with HEFY, or their new name is Humanitarian XP. That's who you should have on, is the CEO of that show, of that company. She's so rad.
Okay.
But I went there and I was in Malawi and they were doing church in English. And so I said to somebody, I was like, why are we doing church in English? Why aren't you doing it in Chichewa? And they're like, oh, because when the missionaries came, they did it in English. And I was like, what? And they're like, and the Book of Mormon hasn't been translated yet. I was like, well, can't you translate it kind of? Like, can't you like read it and then say to people, this is what it says or something? Yeah. I was like, who's in charge? Like, should I talk to who's the district man or whatever? Like, who's
over Africa? Yeah. Give me their number.
Because I'm like, they're talking about like, oh, we can't retain people. And I'm like, oh, because you're not speaking their language.
Right.
But that's actually true in English too. It's like, if you're like, why are we losing people? It's like, maybe we're not speaking their language. Maybe we need to like, this is the way that they hear it. And then it has to be like rebranded sometimes. And like, for people like the story of our story of this is the only true church. Joseph wanted to know which church. I'm like, we got to rebrand that story.
Yeah.
Or like we got to say like,
how would you want to rebrand it?
Oh, I want to say this. God talks to farm boys, with dirt under their fingernails, who sell root beer on the side to make ends meet. Like that's what that story says. God will come into our stories. Like he will come from the heavens and be involved with 14-year-olds and with
You don't just find him in temples and synagogues.
Right.
He's right here.
Right. And we call that place the sacred grove, but Joseph called it my backyard.
Right.
And it's like, and that's where he came. That's where he came,
Cool.
And like, I get it. Like we have a unique contribution with priesthood keys that I feel really strongly about, because I think every faith tradition in the world has a unique contribution to give. And I think it's good to know what our unique contribution is to understanding the heart and character of God and relating to him. Like we have something to offer, So I think that's important.
I think it's important that you said that each faith has something unique to offer.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Absolutely.
Why do you say that, Andrew? I think we're thinking the same thing, but I think it's important to say it. Just the whole like one true church, like people really press that. And it's like, there's no other way. I struggle with that sometimes. It's like, for me, yeah, that's true. But there's a billion people that like kind of know who Jesus Christ is, but not really. I mean, are we saying that they can't get there doing their thing?
No, I think there's this idea of like exclusivism, which you could accidentally slip into, which is like one is right and everyone else is wrong. Or you could go way far the other way, which is relativism, which is just like, well, everybody kind of has their own path up the mountain. And it's like that works for a while and it helps you build relationships with people, but no faith tradition actually claims that.
Sure.
Like that breaks down somewhere. And so there's this kind of middle place that I like, particularism, which is this is a phrase I learned from a guy named Patrick Mason, and he was just like, that everybody kind of has a particular gift, to offer, and it's like
they're all a part of the puzzle,
right? The Buddhists offer mindfulness. They show us like the power of thinking and meditation. And we're not super mature in that particular realm as Latter-day Saints. Like all we have is, if you have a dirty thought, sing a hymn, and it's like, no, they're so much better at mindfulness than we are. And so everybody's offering this particular gift. And it's like, there's a scripture, in the Doctrine and Covenants, it's in all books of scripture that talks about spiritual gifts. And it's like, to each person is given a different gift. And sometimes I read that and I'm like, what if you said to each faith tradition is given a different gift? And the line is that we all may be benefited thereby, And so either as a world or in an individual faith congregation, let's celebrate everybody's different gifts, because it's only in coming together with those different gifts that we can get a better picture of who God is and what his heart is like. It's like, I've got to learn from you what God is like, because you experience him and see him differently than I do. And so I'll never get it without you.
I've never understood
curiosity.
Yeah. How we could ever tell somebody like everything about ours is true, but I don't know about yours.
Yeah. And I think we kind of
struggle with that.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And that's a cultural, like we've hijacked that. Like the scriptures don't say it. You can't find it, anywhere. If the scriptures do say it, like the one that says the only true and living church, you have to ask yourself, okay, what's that phrase mean? And what does it not mean?
Right.
And what it doesn't mean is we're not the only church with truth. We also don't have a fullness of truth, right? Otherwise, the ninth article of faith will be false.
Right.
Like there's more to learn. We don't have a complete picture of God. How absurd to think that one.
Well, we know we're
faith
missing scripture. We like there's
right.
all
And so
sorts
it's
of
like,
things.
and so what it does mean is what we particularly have to offer, which is, we have the new and everlasting covenant, have covenant relationship with God. That's what we uniquely have, to offer. And, prophets, seers, and revelators, which tie into that.
And to your point, like that's our unique gift. And that's the reason that we need to share that unique gift with the world. Just like all faith traditions have something unique to share.
Right.
Like there's a very good reason that needs to be shared.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Like I want to say amen to President Hinckley when he said to people, bring all the good that you have and let's see if we can add to it. And I think the reverse is true.
Perfect.
I think the reverse is true.
100%.
I will bring to you the good I have, but please share with me what you
Who doesn't benefit from mindfulness?
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Listen,
it's so hard.
I just built a room onto my house that could be like a meditation room, and I'm afraid it's not going to.
You've already painted it.
I
put speakers in it.
Listen, I just hung a hammock in it last week, and I was like, never mind.
That still goes with it.
Gonna be, I can be mindful.
I mean, really. So something that's standing out to me is I noticed that you are intentionally not saying the word religions. Any reason why? Like faith traditions.
Oh no,
faith
not
congregations.
Not
I just found that interesting because I feel like that word is kind of taboo nowadays. Like I don't need organized religion.
Yeah,
I mean, different religion. I really actually love faith congregation or faith
traditions.
Yeah. Like what a cool thing.
I know that word. We got to rebrand it. Religion.
Right.
The word religion is like it comes from a root of like a tie between you and God. It's a way of connecting with God. Right. Is what that word means. And, organized religion is actually on the decline.
Yeah.
People are walking away from organized religion. Spirituality is on the increase, though, which is good news.
Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah. And
it's because we're wising up.
And well, no, I think like what the conversation we're having is people need to realize this. No, okay, can you connect with God all on your own without other people? Yes. Right. Like our foundation story is a boy who found God in the woods. Absolutely, you can. Right? But then the next thing God said to Joseph is gather people. Because if that's true, that spiritual gifts are scattered among us on purpose, then the only way to experience them together is to gather.
Right.
In an organized that's all organized religion is. It's a gathering of the spiritual gifts together.
Well, and when I say wising up, I don't mean like they're being duped or that they're figuring. I guess I just mean like they're questioning and they're searching on their own for what they want.
I just think it's a continual evolution.
It's not like it's not like a they're not just saying like I was born Catholic, I'm Catholic. It's like, no, there's something here. I want to figure it out on my own. And that's why I say this new generation is so smart. I think it's so easy to bag on millennials and down, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, they're the smartest generations I think we've ever had because they really are. They're in a culture where questioning things is okay and figuring things out and doing things their own way with no past traditions or anything like that kind of swaying them. It's like they're independent thinkers.
Yeah.
They want to figure it out for themselves. And I think that that's a huge benefit to faith.
Absolutely. And that's why I say rebrand the story because what we have to offer is beautiful.
Right.
But people are bucking at it because they think it's this. It's
exclusivism is what you said.
And it's like, that's not what it is.
Just a piece of the puzzle that nobody else can offer.
Right.
But us.
So someone's got to rebrand that. So you're like, and it's not, it's what it is. It's not like I'm making it up. It's like, it's scripturally, what it actually is. But it's like people are just telling the wrong story.
Well, it's funny, the story thing that you keep bringing up, because there's so much more to the story thing in every aspect of our lives, not just religion, like marriage.
Oh, sure.
Any relationship, work, that's something that ADHD people deal with all the time. Like, I love, what's that doctor? He calls it the demon. Like we can't switch that part of our brain off that basically does Satan's job for us. Like, you suck you're dumb. That's a stupid idea. You're fat.
Well, I mean, the average person has like 80,000 thoughts and 90-something% of them were negative
Right.
in a day. So, I mean, you're constantly telling yourself.
Yeah. And like you said, like with an event, you attach a story. And then if you really want to mess it up, you attach an emotion. And if it's a negative emotion, then, one negative emotion involved with like one bad worthiness interview with the bishop or something. And all of a sudden it's just like 30 years gone, just that one little. So the stories we tell ourselves and the fact that we don't give people, like the bishop scenario I just brought up, like where we don't give people some grace, like they're human beings.
Right.
Like we are not here to be perfect or judge others. We are here to be screw ups together and do our best to use the atonement and get back.
Right.
And like help each other out. And so, but I feel like that's changing now. I feel like there's movement in the right direction from like, oh, did you see what they were doing last Sunday? They were mowing the lawn. They're going to hell. To now people are more like, you have somebody like you wearing a cross, which in our church, like most people, like we grow up thinking like, no, we don't celebrate the cross. It'd be funny to all write down like, what's the story you were told growing up? Like why, that's the weapon that killed Christ. You know what I mean? Like it is true. Like I see you wearing that. I'm like, this is a very spiritual person. Like, why don't we? It's so healthy to question that stuff. And I feel like we are in a generation now that is, and I think that's only going to make all these different cultures of faith stronger and more, not powerful, more appealing.
I think what's important too is like I don't know, how do you say it? Question, but not just because you want to be different or push back, but because there is, like, for example, the meaning, for example, Dave, that you've given the cross is very specific. You're not wearing it just to ruffle feathers. You know what I mean? You're not doing it.
Maybe a little.
You're not doing it.
You got me. You
just,
see me.
Just because, it's going to cause a reaction out of other people. There is a specific reason to you that's been thought out that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that, I think to your point, but part of the process is the next step, which is finding that for you and having a reason, not just.
Don't question just to question or just to be like a pain in the butt.
Or just to be different or just because you
be a
want
rebel.
To. Yeah. Like, and I
be
think
hungry.
I think
ask questions.
Curiosity, right? Like that's something that's always stuck with me since we interviewed Tim, right? When we were talking about race, he was like, I always want to sit on the other side and just ask why.
Yeah.
Because everyone's thought through it. They have a reason for what they're doing. I want to learn why. I may not agree with it, but I want to know why.
Yeah.
And I think that curiosity, like that was something that Kobe Bryant was huge on after his career, was like, stay curious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Beat the jazz.
And
stay curious.
No.
Oh,
no,
sorry.
Stop
sorry.
it.
Okay. My bad.
We don't have to talk about that right now.
The spirit just left. It's over. Oh.
But I mean, is that what led you to start writing? Because you've written multiple books. You're doing so much fun stuff. Like what was it that caused you to start to do other things outside of just teaching?
Boredom, probably. It was sort of like
his humility is infectious, contagious.
No, it was just sort of like, I kind of always thought writing would be cool.
Okay.
Like I've liked writing for a long time. It's like I think through a lot of stuff when I write, more like a stream of consciousness a lot of times, and it's just kind of like, so I've always liked to write.
Okay.
And then for some reason, I always thought that'd be really cool to write, to write a book.
Yeah.
And now I keep doing it because, like, just last week I was talking with this lady who's just lost her husband, and they follow our podcast, and so a connection said, hey, would you mind calling her up and saying hi? She's kind of in a rough spot. And I was like, absolutely. I would love to do that. And so I called her up and just talked with her on Sunday, and we were FaceTiming, and she just said, hey, like, I just want to show you something that, after he died, my daughter brought me over something to kind of cheer me up, and she flips it around, and it was one of my books. And I was like, it was actually like really meaningful to me to like think, I write it and then send it out, and then I'm nervous everyone's gonna hate it.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, everyone's gonna think this is so stupid, and I shouldn't have even written it.
Yeah,
you know?
That's crazy.
But then like for her to say like, hey, your words that you put together have been like a lifting and comforting like source for me. And it made me think like, oh, anybody who's like, if your words have, and so I think I'm good at it. And it's like,
You are.
it's nice to like use that to like, oh, let me tell people like, you're okay, you know, like infuse and breathe hope into people and tell people the story of Jesus and how it is actually their story. And I don't know, it just feels like one other way, lots of other ways, I guess now that I can, I mean, like I'll write, I get on Instagram, which I want to get off Instagram all the time. But I ran into this girl one time and she was just like, I haven't been to church in several years. But every Sunday morning I pull up your post and I
Who
kind
won
of
Sunday?
like, what's that?
The Who Won Sunday stuff?
No, like just like I'll post Saturday nights.
Yeah.
And I'd started doing that, not meaning for it to be a thing. And then she was just like, every Sunday morning I wake up and it connects me with God. Yeah, it's my church. And I was like, great. Like when I left that conversation, I was like, now I'm forced to do one every single week or you don't get church. You know, and I can't have that on my
Like, I don't need to go to church. I have Dave.
Yeah. So anyways, like it just is like, oh, if it's like, makes me feel good that it's connecting people to God and to each other and like inspiring more love and understanding and patience and grace and I don't know.
So one of your recent posts was, I really enjoyed it, was the gospel about being a buffet.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Because I think in your caption, you talked about we grow up and the story that we're told and that we share is that it's not a buffet. It's not you get to pick and choose, right? But your post is talking about it is a buffet. Where did that come from? And was that a scary post to make and write?
This is funny because when I wrote it, now this is going to sound so stupid. I just started going down an aisle that I was like, maybe I don't want to go down that one. Because like I wrote it and I usually will write it and post it. But on this particular one, I read it to Jenny before I posted it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you think about this? And when I read it to her, it made me cry, which is embarrassing because I wrote it, you know? So it's like, I was like, this is so good, you know? But it was the concept of it, of the idea of like, listen, you can, if you're not ready for everything yet, like then just come and sit and take what you can but still be a part of us and still sit at the same table. And that's what I intended by it. It's been the most controversial thing I've ever posted.
Yeah.
I sort of got slammed a little bit for it. And I like kind of had to relook at it again. It's like, whoa, what did I miss here? Because I mean, I won't say what some of the people said, but like, it just, I really got pushed back hard against it. And I was like, oh, so I had to kind of do a little follow up. He was like, let me clarify, because I didn't want people to like, I was like, this is way too important for people to misunderstand what I'm saying here, you know? And
so how are they misunderstanding it?
Well, I think they were kind of saying like, I'm giving permission to people to just live however they want, you know? And I was just like, first of all, I want to say, what's it to you if somebody actually does drink on Saturday and show up on Sunday? I actually would be really proud of my congregation.
I'd rather go to church with that guy any day of the week.
Well, I would be so proud. I would be so proud if that person felt comfortable in my congregation. Yep. I was like, because people who are struggling felt really comfortable with Jesus, and he was not easy on sin, right? Because he knows that what sin is. You know, he's like, it ruins people. Right. And I don't want you ruined. So I'm going to be really harsh against sin, not against sinners, but I'm going to be harsh on sin, you know, but they still felt really comfortable around him. So if someone
he chose a bunch of sinners, like
right?
All his people
were
all
he has to pick from, right? It's just like
they were like not the good guys. They were, you know what I mean? Like,
so I don't know. But I want to say to somebody who's like, and if they do, is that like damaging you somehow? Like if you like, I don't care.
It's blessing them, actually.
I actually don't care if what they do and then they come. But they were thinking I was giving people permission to hurt people and live however you want and still be this and this, and I was like, no. Listen, let's be super clear about something. I understand. No, I cannot have a meaningful relationship with God if I'm always ignoring him and I want to put that doesn't work. Like if I want with Jenny a meaningful, loving, trustworthy, thriving relationship, then there are some things I can't treat our marriage like a buffet. If that's what I want, like that is true. I can't. And with God too. Like if I want this intense, intimate, thriving, beautiful relationship with God, then no, I can't go out on, the weekends and do whatever I want, right? If that's what you want. I was writing it to say there's some people who actually don't want that yet, right? There's some people who are like, I kind of want to just have a taste, or I kind of want to just sit here and listen for a minute, and I'm not ready to be committed to this. And that's what I was saying is that's, but I did get a little upset that when people pushed back on what they thought I was saying, I still want to say does that affect you?
Yeah.
And it's just like someone.
Do they realize that the whole church is just for that person? Like
right.
literally.
Yeah.
The whole entire reason we're here is to help screw ups.
Yes.
That's it. It is a house where you come in, get fixed, go back out there, come in, get fixed, go back out there, and we all help each other do it. It is not a house of perfect.
Yeah, and Jesus comes in on his last week of his life, and he knocks over tables in the temple. And if you keep reading that story, he says, this is supposed to be a house of prayer, or this is supposed to be a place where people connect with God, and you've made it a den. And most people are afraid to go into dens because of what lives inside there. And I think what he was doing was making a statement of, don't do things that make people afraid to walk in here.
Right.
And we got to knock over some tables and some ideas here maybe so that people don't feel like they're walking into a lion's den when they walk into
tables
church.
Outside of church where you got to pay your tithing to come in here.
Yeah. Is that your new suggestion?
Yeah. No, I'd flip that table over. That's what I do.
I just mean
what it was?
I think, and we also got to flip over tables in our own minds.
Right.
Of someone's like, I actually don't belong in that place because of the way I live. And I was like, you knock that table over in your own mind. Someone's going to knock that over because
it's there.
Right. Because you do belong here.
It's how many parables do we need to know that the lost sheep, the 90 and 9, the 10 pieces of silver, he's made it very clear. That's I'm telling you, if you don't have pretty much everybody has an addiction of some. Go to the family addiction and recovery classes of the church. If you want to meet real LDS people that know what the atonement is, go there. It will be the most spiritual experience you'll ever have. It's. I almost wish everybody would go through a session, a 12-week session, just to see when you hear, I remember going the first time, and I remember sitting across from a guy that could have been Thomas S. Monson. He didn't look, he just had that old guy, very, polished, sweet, just love. And he starts talking about hookers and alleys and drugs. This is 40 years ago, but he still feels like he needs to go to those. Mm. This guy could have been a general authority, and I've never felt the spirit like that before, ever. Mm. And this guy had done some crazy stuff, but how awesome is that he still goes, wears his suit, shares. You go in there because you pop some pain pills, all of a sudden you're feeling a little bit better about yourself because homeboy was hookers and blow. You know what I mean? And to see what he is now, that is the God. The whole reason, the whole entire reason that we are here is for that.
Yeah.
Where have we lost that?
Well, I think where we've lost it is partially. Whoa, what word am I trying to say? Wow.
Is partially because
What's the plural of that?
impartialize.
Is in the comparison.
Right.
We are here to further our relationship with God, right? Who am I to tell Cam what his looks like? Who am I to tell David what yours looks like? Like, I'm here. And so I'm here to make progress with my relationship with God, right? So whatever your story is your story.
But how do we get more people to think
Whatever
like that?
is my story is my story.
Right.
And so, like, I need to make sure that but the key, I think, is that I feel like, and we understand how to make progress, because I do think sometimes it's easy to say, oh, I'm doing better than that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm not as good as this one. And I think both are hurtful. Right. And so I think that's why the importance of like your personal relationship with God, which is the revelation, it's the mindfulness, all of these things that come together that are so critical. And, to your post, like, what does it matter? Like, if you're fighting your battle, I'm going to support you wherever you are wherever you are in your journey. I'm here to support it, because that doesn't really impact me. I should gain, and I should be inspired by you, and it should help me with mine. So why do I care?
Right.
Well, and I even think that question it needs to go further than that. Like, you should be like fellowshipping that like, you should be paying more attention to that person than anybody else in church. Who cares what you know about what they do? Like, they're there. That should be celebrated. That's awesome. Because one day, like you said, something's going to happen where it clicks. Like, let's keep them close. Let's give them that little bit of spiritual, like, food every week. Let's give them some friends and some connections. And when something gets really hard, he or she has a place to go. And that's when it happens. And so it drives me crazy.
Our lesson was the talk by Elder Oaks, like, what has God done for me lately? Or like, what has God done for me? And it was interesting the way the conversation started, because it was like, oh, how could you ever ask that question? He's done this and that, and started like listing all these things. And I was like, well, hold on, let's try to understand why that question is asked in the first place. Like, as opposed to just answering the question, why was it asked? And I think that's where we begin, because that's when you can establish a connection and might actually be able to, help.
Yeah. I just think, obviously,
I like that.
Obviously there's some like, good manners and stuff like that people have, which is like, I'm not going to just air all my grievances all the time and everything like that. However, we got to find like a way to open the door a little bit to this, because I just think this is a concept I'm working through right now. And I was like, this is next Sunday's post.
Oh,
everybody.
Man.
I don't know.
I see the wheels spinning in there.
But I'm just interested in the story of Jacob from the Old Testament, who becomes Israel, and how he's sort of like he's a con artist, and he lies and like figures out, he's just like, that's what he's like, but there's these conversations that he keeps having where someone keeps asking him, what's your name? And in the beginning of his story, he wants to be his brother. And he says, like, I'm Esau, and he keeps tricking everyone into thinking he's him. And it's like, oh, it's because he was the favored kid and he was actually hairy and manlier. And like, it's like, it was like, oh, I was like, I do that, or I wish I was someone else. I wish I was something different. I wish I want to be this. And so I start pretending that I am those things. But here's the concept that I'm like chewing on right now is like, God can't bless who we're pretending to be.
Oh, that's really good.
That, like, when Jacob actually says to the angel that one night, when the angel says, what's your name? And he was like, I'm Jacob. Like, this is who I am. I'm not
just pure honesty.
I'm not proud of that. I'm not bragging about that. I didn't think this needed to be my journey, but this is where it is. And this is who I am in this moment. And that's when God comes in and he says, from now on, I'm calling you Israel, which means somebody who triumphs with God. Now that you've handed me who you are, now you've invited me into your story. and now we triumph together.
Well, now I'm reminding you that you are special just the way that you are.
Right.
Like, I want Jacob. I don't want fake
Right. I
older
don't
brother.
want you
Like,
to be Esau.
I don't care where you are compared to him. Like, you're in, oh man, I got goosebumps, but like, you're special just where you're at. Yeah. I mean, it's the disciple stories are all like that. Like,
right.
Could you imagine following him around, being some of those guys? Like, you know, Mary, just drinking, gambling, demons, you know, it's like, yeah, okay, Jesus, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. But I mean, to feel like they could have ideas and that they could present, you know, counsel, and just how cool. Like, you have Jesus Christ making them feel like they're this, you know, they're up here and they're special because he sees them the way that they actually are, which is exactly that. They're special.
Yeah.
Wow. So how do you, because I think you do a really good job on it, how do you help between loving someone and then maybe condoning the behavior?
Well, I guess it depends on the way you're defining those words, because for me, my definition in my mind of condoning is if I participate in that particular sin, then I'm condoning it.
Okay.
Like, that's how I condone something, is if I'm like, if I am doing it.
Okay.
You know, versus like somebody else. I actually think that parable of the Good Samaritan, that man brings this wounded, bloody, beaten, naked guy to the inn, and all he says to the innkeeper is, take care of him. And he doesn't give a backstory for it. He doesn't say like, and you might have an innkeeper that asks, well, how come he's so bloody? He's like, take care of him. It doesn't actually matter.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Was it his fault? Was he like in the wrong part of town? Take care of him. He's hurting. Take care of him. And I feel like that parable gives me, as a disciple of Christ, permission to care for people without knowing their backstory.
I have never thought about being the innkeeper.
Yeah. You have permission to love and care for people. You
don't need to know the story.
I actually don't care. You know, like,
my homeless shelters are special.
Yeah,
like Becky Pickle. You know, like, they don't care. Like, you come in, you follow the rules, you work.
Yeah.
Like, we don't care. Like, let's go. Let's move forward.
Same in our like, obviously there's certain behaviors that are only allowed in certain places. Someone can't come into the churches and rip out pews and try and tear down people's beliefs and stuff like that. Like, every group has the dignity of setting boundaries. Sure. Right. But it's like, you actually have permission to care for somebody who's living a lifestyle that you don't want to live. That is not this. I think we're too afraid of condoning sin that we've stopped being Christians.
Oh my gosh. See, to me, that's the guy that is the hookers and blow guy. Like, to me, he is less of a sinner than somebody that judges somebody that needs help. Yeah, like, to me, that I feel like, to me, I think those are tests for people. They don't realize that it's not just, I think it is such a huge test of your faith and your beliefs and your testimony. Like, if you question where they were, what they're doing, like, it's kind of like, you know, if you're passing money out on the freeway, like, oh, he's just going to use drugs. Are you going to get blessed for helping somebody that needs it? Like, who cares? Like, yes, you're going to. And I think we have to be so careful about the second we start thinking about, like, why are they where they are?
Right.
Like, all of a sudden you become Jesus. You know, it's like you are putting yourself in a judgmental place where it's like, hey, this is your test. Just love them.
Yeah.
Help them.
And if somebody wants to have a conversation with me and they want to say to me, will you help me fix my life? Will you show me my blind spots that I can't see? Will you teach me what Jesus said about money and sex and relation? Will you teach me that? You know, because I would like to pursue that Yes, I will tell you what he said on all those things, because I think he's got a higher and holier way here. So if you would like me to, I would, but that's not going to be the first card that I play.
Right.
You don't need to come in and be like, if you wouldn't walk that road, people might not beat you up, I was like, that's not going to be my first card. It's just not quite like
it's like when your kids get hurt and like your reaction is, well, if you wouldn't have done that, you wouldn't have gotten hurt.
Right.
Your job as a parent is just to love them and console them.
Yeah. Then later I can teach you if I'm your parent.
Yeah.
Like I'm obviously like this one lady accused me something one time. She's like, is this what you teach your kids? And I'm like, ma'am.
You're like, Karen, listen.
Yeah. Sorry, your name's Karen. Remember that Eminem commercial? Sorry, I called you Karen. My name is Karen. Sorry, your name's Karen.
I feel so bad for women named Karen nowadays.
I know. They got to just take that back.
Especially
somehow.
if they're middle-aged white ones.
If they can.
Sorry.
No, but I obviously I'm going to teach my kids, like, do you want me to show you how to have a good relationship with other people and with God? That's all the commandments are. They got to be rebranded too, because people are like, oh, God's a dictator and he's tyrannical. And he's like, no, actually, if you want to have a thriving, living, loving relationship with me, you can't have other gods also. Mm-hmm. And P.S., those gods won't ever love you back the way I will. So you actually don't want that. And then the other commandments that are all like, don't lie and steal and cheat. And it was like,
Kill
this
my
actually,
kids.
this actually makes the world so much better.
They're all laws we believe in just society.
Yeah. Well,
If you
they're
think
based
about it,
off of it, right?
right.
We're all
Isn't that so-
Judeo-Christian nations, We're like, oh,
The commandments are a crock of crap. Well, is murder okay? Well, of course not. Like, well, you believe in one commandment. That's a start.
yeah. So it's like, let me show you this like more excellent way of being. I've got this working definition right now of eternal life. I don't see it as an end destination. I see it as being alive to God and alive to other people currently. Like, I think you can experience life here, like in relationship with him and others. And he's showing us how to do that, in a way that's thrilling and like just motivating. And anyways, and so I think he's trying to like get us there. So yes, I'm going to teach my kids, this is how you can, have these types of relationships, but
ultimately it's up to them too, right?
Right.
Like all you can do is your part. And
so yes, I'm going to
it's just like the person that comes to church and screws up all week. It's like, hey, we're keeping them close. We love them one day a week.
Right.
That trial will happen. That experience will happen where they're going to know where to go to find comfort.
Yeah. And if they want to come to me because we have a trusted relationship,
right,
and say, can you help me in my life? Then I will say, because it's actually really loving to tell somebody who's like sinning to stop sinning. That's actually like really beneficial if they ask.
Right.
I kind of feel like, right. It's already there. They already have it. Like God's already like taught it and laid it out. Like he doesn't need me to be the lawyer for people. And like,
you say that, and I agree with you, but I also think that there's such an importance in helping people think for themselves, and you have an ability to do that. Like you obviously have a passion and a love and a strong belief in what you're teaching, but you also have a way of communicating it that most people don't have. And I think that's going to hit. Well, it's just like your story, right? It's the same study you just shared with us. Like, I don't hear my story at church, but hearing it from somebody that has the ability that you do, the beliefs that you do, the internal wiring to kind of question things and look at things from different angles. Like, I think especially for this generation coming up, you are speaking their language. And if that gets them through the door, then the rest is kind of up to them, right? But I mean, we always read about you can become a savior on Mount Zion, right? Like we can all do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we all have, like Andrew said, like our individual gifts. It's the Jacob thing, right? Like you're all, just like all these faith congregations are pieces of the puzzle, we are too.
Right.
Like we are all individually a piece of the puzzle. Like I'm here to help. I've had my trials. So there's going to be this section of the population that I can relate to and help. And I've got to be in the position to do that. But I think you can't sell yourself short on that one. Cause it's a big responsibility, but it's how many parables talk about, like, you've got to use it. I mean, it's here for a reason.
I think part of it too is like loving and giving, like without expectation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to love you because I'm going to love you. If you don't believe the same way that I do, I still am going to love you. If you don't act the way I'm going to love, then I'm still going to love you.
Yeah.
Right. Like like my relationship with God, like I can't only love you if you're going to bless me. Right. Because if I'm doing things in like that transactional manner, that's not a real relationship. Just like a relationship with my spouse, right? Like,
yeah, it's like using people.
Like that's like business.
Yeah.
But like I was talking with my wife last night about it. Like, if the only reason I do the dishes is to get a result, then
I mean,
damn it.
Where we go?
Man.
Where we go?
I gotta write that one down.
No, but what I'm saying, like there's a difference between like doing something out of an expectation and doing something out of, you know what I mean? And so I think with God and
Unconditional love
and loving with others, it's doing that and being okay with whatever happens, because ultimately, we should be the innkeeper. That's like my favorite thing that I've learned
Totally.
Be the innkeeper. Yeah. Just take care of them.
Right. The end.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no more questions. Get them up to the shower.
And I think like people, if they don't, there's that parable that's the most unpopular parable of all, with the workers, who come in the different hours in the vineyard, and the first hour workers and remember that one? Then you get to the last hour workers, and they work for
they all got paid
an
the
hour,
same.
and they get Jewish custom and law was you paid first workers first and last workers last.
Yeah.
But it got reversed, almost like, I want you to see what's going down here. Because if you'd paid the first workers first, what they contracted for, they would have just gone home, no issue.
Yeah.
Right.
But when they saw that these other people were given more than they earned, it made them mad. And I think sometimes people who think they are first hour workers, who have a contract relationship with God, like, I do this and you owe me this.
Prodigal son. It's
right?
The same thing.
Those are the people who get angry at that.
Yeah.
But if everyone would realize there's actually no such thing as a first hour worker. Nobody earns this. You think you've earned it, and that's what's making you mad.
Yeah.
But if you would recognize, I'm an 11th hour worker also. God picked me up off the curb also. I didn't deserve or earn any of this also. Then all of a sudden, I'm free to be an innkeeper. I'm free to just take care of people, because you're like, oh my gosh, actually a couple of years ago, somebody picked me off the road and they brought me in like bleeding and bruised and broken. So I'm actually, man.
We are the same.
Right. We're the same.
Right.
But to your point, look what Satan's doing. He's actually he's pushing those buttons with social media. Like, if you think about the comparison culture. He is pulling those envy and strife and jealousy and
it's that I want to be Esau principle. I want to be you,
right.
And I want to, because you're more liked and you're more loved by God, and you're and I wish I didn't have this part of my nature, and I wish I didn't do this so much. And it's like, what if you just said I'm Jacob?
Well, it's like what did Uchtdorf said, 4 titles. It's like my favorite talk ever. And he said, Satan wants you to define yourself by your sins.
Yeah.
Because if you're in that spot, it's the exact opposite of if you're reading your scriptures and you're saying your prayers and you're loving people, the Spirit's right there, right? It's the exact opposite. Like, if you define yourself by your sins, Satan's got a wide open door, right? I heard this awesome analogy in church by my bishop. It was a super not awkward class, and young men's the law of chastity, combined. Oh my gosh, the giggling. He actually talked about if you get a Christmas present, what do? You shake it, you feel it, you weigh it, and one kid goes, you lick it. I'm like, oh my gosh. These kids are crazy. Right?
Hope of Israel.
The hope of Israel. Oh my gosh. But it was really cool, because I think we've been taught, if we mess up, we don't have the Spirit, right? And for those of you that aren't LDS, For us, it's the Holy Ghost. Like that's the comforter, like something that guides us and helps us. But he says, the Spirit never leaves you. He goes, an analogy I like is if you're swimming on top of the pool, you can hear me. If I just say like, Cameron, come over here, like hop out of the pool, dry off. We got to shut the pool.
Yeah.
He goes, now, if you dive down to the bottom of the deep end, can you still hear me? If I yell, and it's like a little. He goes, yeah, you still can a little, but you really have to like really, really focus. He goes, that's how it works.
Because of where you are, not where he is.
So he's right there. It's just you make it harder for yourself to remember to ask for it and earn it. Anyway, I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah, we make it way harder on ourselves than we need to.
Well, and I think it's our culture to think like, again, it's a shame and a punishment. Like if I mess up, the Spirit leaves. Instead of like, no, he doesn't. Like you just have to put your hearing aids back in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For some reason, I'm 42 years old and I've never thought of it that way. I've always gone down that kind of like, I need the Spirit in my life, but I just don't deserve him right now. And it's like, he's always right there.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's a culture shift that we really, really need. I want to ask one question that I am so curious, like why you are the way that you are, like why you love the things that you love. Like what's your, like how many kids are in your family? Like where did this, like, not just love for the gospel, but you have like a passion for it. Like it's your calling. Like when did you know that was like, what in your history kind of led you to that?
Oh, man.
Do you know?
I don't know. No, I don't. Yeah. I mean, that particular one, why are you the way that you are? Dude,
Don't tell yourself
I could
a
pay
bad story.
big money
Okay.
trying to figure that out. I got this, my son's got a friend that he works with who's in one of my classes at UVU. And he just was like, Christian was talking to him and he just said, this Christian told me the story later. And he was like, your dad's not like anyone I've ever met. He's like more. And then that was it, period. I was like listening. I was like,
Fill in the blank.
More what? Like, more what? Like what? Like that's a nice way of saying extra or something. Is what that is. It's a synonym. It's what he's saying.
Gosh.
I think it is frighteningly easy to be a church person your whole life and never actually become a Jesus person.
Oh, I love that.
It's really, really easy to do that. You just walk the walk and you play the game and not that without even thinking that you're playing a game, you're just doing what you're supposed to or whatever the words you want to put in there are. And, interestingly, I can think of one significant turning point for me. And it was, I think I've always just been more, but, like I remember we had this, we had some direction from our church leaders once to like start focusing on the Sabbath day more. And I listened to it and I was like, wait, why do we want to do that? What's the reasoning? And they actually said it, but no one talked about it.
Interesting.
And they said the question we took to God was, how do we increase trust and faith and love in the Father and the Son? And then the answer was, so the question on the mind was, how do we connect better and learn to trust you more and love you more? And anyways,
Everyone just heard you need to do better with the Sabbath.
yeah, it's like, don't go to the gas station. And I was like, so I was on a ward council at the time. It's kind of like the worship team, at our congregation.
The street team.
That's actually what I called our ward council when I was bishop. I was like, you guys, we're the worship team, like we're because I felt
Slapping
like,
flyers on telephone poles. Let's get out there.
I kind of thought sometimes people were would act like we would treat people sometimes at church like you're supposed to come to sacrament meeting or you don't get a temple recommend. Right. You have to come. That's default.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys, what if we treated sacrament meeting like our jobs were on the line? Like, let's make a really enriching, rad spiritual experience for people. Let's just not do what you're supposed to and say you're supposed to come. Let's pretend
Let them want to come.
yeah, let's pretend our salary depend
what
on
did you
this
do
a little bit.
before you finish your story?
So it's part of that.
Okay.
It's kind of part of that is we just kind of talked about you guys, let's restructure this meeting as a way where our goal is let's walk away from this adoring and admiring and just being ravished by the character and the love of God, the Father and the Son. That's our goal. All the songs, all the prayers, everything we do, in whatever order we do it, because we will change up the order because we can. Whatever we do, let's make that our end goal. And then we had this crazy idea. We were the third group in the building, so we could do this, where we divided up the whole ward into groups of 15. And for the second and third hour of church for a year straight, we sat in the chapel around the altar and we told what I called the story of the Lamb. And we started in the Garden of Eden and we went all the way to the cross and Easter. And we were like, this is who he is, and this is as a way to just when you come here for the sacrament, you're adoring who he is and you're remembering what was done for you. Do you want a story? Every week we retell you a story about the Son of God who laid his life down for you. Because other people will tell you a story and you'll tell yourself a worse story than they will. And so why don't you get recentered on this story every single week? And that year, at the end of that year, I did not have a picture of Jesus in my house because I'm an art snob and I couldn't find one that I liked. Okay. So
what's your Jesus look like?
What? The chosen Jesus.
Yeah, I love the chosen Jesus. Oh, thank you.
Jesus.
He's the best.
Seriously, I didn't have one because I'm an art snob. I love Jesus, but I just didn't. I couldn't find him anywhere. Except for when the people were coming over to hire me as a seminary teacher, I borrowed my father-in-law's picture of Jesus and hung it in my house.
You put your smaller cross on.
So I was like, uh-oh, maybe they won't. They got to have some Anyways.
Oh my gosh.
So it was funny because I could never find one. Well, end of that year is December time. And Costco, sets up their temple and Jesus pictures thing at Christmas time at Costco. And I'm at Costco buying everything else that's there. And I'm start wheeling my cart up to the front and I stop by the picture spot and I saw a picture of Jesus and it struck me and it made me cry. And it was so sweet and tender and I was like, oh my gosh, where has that picture been? My whole life, where's it been? But then what's funny is I looked at the next picture and I had the same reaction. And I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, you this year have become so endeared to who he is. And it's changed you. And I bought that picture. I don't actually like it art-wise, but I love it because it just reminds me of
that emotion in that story that you felt.
And that year, I think I just doing that with the groups over and over and over again and changing sacrament meeting to be focused on loving and adoring and admiring him. Listen, the gospel that word means good news, right? And news is a reporting of something that's been done. I know I almost did broadcast journalism. Okay. Good news.
Put a whole semester and a half into this. Dang it. I know what I'm talking about.
Good news is a reporting of what's been done. It's different than good advice. Good advice is something you should do. And our worship team, man, we just said, let's let this meeting be good news meeting. No good advice. Save that for Sunday school. Tell people how they should live and what they should do or whatever. But in this meeting, let's tell people what's been done for them. Let's tell them who God is and who he'll always be and what he's done for people in the past, present, and what you can expect in the future. And just that, I think that year, just lit me up inside.
It's so repetitive, sacrament meeting. It can be so hard. Because, just the prayers, I think I've probably spent more time, wondering if they said it right. Let's see if they missed any words.
Yeah.
Instead of, actually remembering, how sanctifying and how it's our covenants. And it's, and as you get older, I think that gets easier. But, man, does the church need a new CMO? because you're the guy. Have you done any stuff with the with the church? I don't want to say corporate headquarters
Formally
but I mean the church
sanctioned
itself.
church event.
Yeah.
Not just like your ward, but I mean, has the church ever involved you in anything that they do?
Once they started, and then I sort of backed out of it because I was like,
Say it.
just there's so many levels and red
Bureaucracy.
tape, and like it just is like, and I had a friend who even said like, man, who works in the church, he was like, this even frustrating for the quorum of the 12. How much?
Yeah.
You have to like, navigate.
My
and
uncle Blair is
negotiate.
one of their like big filmmakers. He made Meet the Mormons. He made Legacy.
cool.
He made but I have seen him in this restaurant on the phone with the 70, like yelling. Because some random guy saying, you can't put a kickboxer in Meet the Mormons. And so it's like he has to fight and fight and fight and then finally go over the head to Irene. And of course he goes, of course a kickboxer can be in the... And you can just see it just wear on him.
Yeah.
And,
So it's like,
BYU's kind of the same way. But remember, it's just humans.
Yeah.
We all
And
have
it's
to feel
good
important.
I mean,
but-
listen, if someone put me in charge, I would take it right off the rails, right? So you need like some steadying and some of that in there. But it's just a little bit too
your first counselor can just
in the
be your
boxy
study guy.
Yeah. So it's just like, I just gotta,
But see, that's what we need to get rid of.
yeah, but I can't. And someone's like, well, that's why, like every year I say, this is my last year teaching seminary and institute. It's my last year. My spirit needs other things. I want to try stuff. I want to
bust
free
out
up
of the box a
free
little
up
bit.
some time to do some other things that like I've just got like an entrepreneurial spirit, and I'm like, I just want to try. Anyways, every year I'm like, okay, this is my last year, and then
Kids need you.
someone will say that. It's like people,
Sorry,
but
man,
people
but it's
need
true.
you, and I was like, listen, I don't want to push back on like the system. Like I don't want to be that person.
Right. Well, and you need to be, because if you're happy, you're only going to touch more people, right? Like
Yeah.
that's something I'm learning right now. That's with marriage. That's with everything. Like you have to take care of you,
Right.
and then the world gets your best version, right? And so, have you done Jerusalem? Have you done any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'd love to. I've never been. How fun would it be to go with him?
Dude, put it on your bucket list. It's so
amazing.
fun. We were supposed to go last year and the year before, but canceled, obviously.
Right.
And then maybe next year. It's penciled in.
Wow.
Maybe we'll get to go.
So if you were not teaching seminary, what would be next? Like if you could pick your thing right now with no outside influence, like you get 1 year.
He's reading the 4-hour work week. Give him another week.
Yeah, I finished that book.
He's gonna have a different answer.
No, I want the ADHD answer, like the big like pie in the sky, like because I know you've got one.
Oh, yeah. Okay, if I could pick right now, I'd be Jimmy Fallon. Like I would take over that job
Really?
in a heartbeat. Oh, absolutely. I would think that'd be so rad.
Throwing a
Just-
little Jesus in there.
Oh, no, I don't. Well, yeah, he can come in.
Why don't we do? So I've heard that the church had and it was Trey. Didn't Trey audition for it? BYU TV was going to do like kind of a church version of a late night talk show.
Oh, really?
And I thought it was actually kind of clever, like have guests on and have
Be
like
so rad. Something like that would be so rad.
you would be amazing at that. Can't we just start our own YouTube channel? Just do that.
Do it. Yeah, right. It's a new. You don't even need a network anymore.
You
It's
don't.
Fine.
Just do a YouTube channel. Buy a desk, get some chairs, and make your own like Jimmy Fallon show.
Some plants on.
Like you just turn your podcast into that,
right.
right? I mean, get a band.
Right.
I mean, I'm not really joking. I think that'd be kind of
Dude,
sick.
I'm actually liking it right
Yeah.
now. I'm like, I gotta go. Edit this out. Edit this out so that nobody
So
steals the idea.
my last thing, just in closing, I don't know if you have anything else, but let's talk 14 to 25-year-olds. What advice are you giving them spirituality wise? Because that's kind of in your wheelhouse, right? I mean, your institute.
Yeah.
Are you institute or seminary or both?
Institute. Yeah, right now.
What's your one liner? Like what's the thing that you think, knowing what you know about this generation, like that they really need to focus on spiritually? It's a huge question, but
Yeah, I think I'd say this, that Jesus already said it. He said, learn of me, listen to my voice and walk in the meekness of my spirit. But in that order, like learn who I am. Why would you ever listen to someone if you don't know who they are and what their heart is like? So learn about me. Like, I'm good. You can trust me. I'm on your side. And then listen to my voice. Let me guide you and walk your own path in the meekness of my spirit.
What is that? What is in the meekness of my spirit? What does that mean to you?
You just stay connected to me and you do good in your circles, in your way that you do it. Meekness is like powerful, but also like, it's not about me.
It's humble.
It's not about me, but so.
Well, and you know what you just said so interesting, because how much more confidence would there be? How much more connection would there be? Because when your relationship with your Heavenly Father is in a good spot, like you do shine.
Yeah.
Like you do look at yourself differently.
Yeah.
You carry yourself differently. That'd be a pretty healing thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
You have anything else?
Just hope would be my big word. I was like, I just want to say to people, like, you're okay. You're okay. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you're doing fantastic. And if you're not doing fantastic, you could actually start, if you wanted to, today, and you're not behind. Right. You're not where I'm not where I should be. And it's like, that's not a thing. Like,
I love that. That's not a thing. It's not.
Yeah, the should. I hate that word. It's my least favorite word.
Yeah.
Should.
Right.
So, well, I can keep going forever, but I know we have to stop. So
I've had to pee so bad, but I'm just like, I just need more. Like, this is so.
I like to move this away from me because I will pee my pants.
Sorry.
But I want to make sure that we talk about, you have your Come Follow Me podcast that you're doing, which is unbelievable.
Oh, thank you.
And so if you want more, you can check out his Institute class, or don't miss this. You have the podcast, the YouTube channel, where you guys, I love it because you break down, every week you're talking about Jesus and you're talking about the gospel, right? And I love how you guys do it. So if you're listening, make sure you tune in, check that out.
Make your weekly study fun. It's funny, like, Come Follow Me. I've just started getting better at it. It's boring. I'm struggling. So to see that you're breaking that, I know where I'm going now to start doing my weekly stuff.
So thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome.
Wow,
so
good. And I've been smelling barbecue the whole time. Does everyone know that you record at your place?
I don't know. Most people, I think, do.
P.S. Should we just say this as the amen here? I just want to say I'm a barbecue snob. I'm from Texas. I'm from Texas.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So you're born snobby if you're from Texas.
It's true.
Anyways,
you also think that
into that world.
The U.S. isn't important, just Texas is.
Back off. And this is legit the only place I will buy.
Dude, thank you.
Legit.
That's amazing.
So
I appreciate
Don't
that.
miss this while having some Bam Bams.
That's right. We're sending you home with some Bam Bams. That's like the parting gift every week.
Why I said it. Yeah. Suspicion.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet.